I work very closely on multiple cutting edge technologies. GenAI is one such area of footage that I follow. Um, Considering this is an open forum, I'll try to keep the session very generic. I'll be not able to show some of the IPs we have created within CAP, but I will try to cover with 4 demos so that this walkthrough is very practical. Second, I will start with where we are heading up, what is GenAI, and we'll kind of give an overview on what we are doing in software engineering. Then I'll also try to touch upon what not to do with GenAI, right? So that we are all assertive enough when we use these latest trend and technology, right? So that being said, and if there are any questions, feel free to chime in and put your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer that after the sessions as well, right? Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay. So now, I mean, GenAI is a no-brainer today. We all know that the entire IT community is speaking about GenAI, not just IT community, even the business community started speaking GenAI. Even the students, including my kids, use GenAI tools to complete his homework, right? So that's how GenAI is part of the DNA within us in day-to-day world, right? It's very well integrated within our work and as well as with our life. And here are some of the examples that I just put in, right? So it's everywhere, right? So companies are investing in millions and billions of dollars in acquiring certain startup which are good in GenAI or investing more to ensure that they are not getting any cyber related governance related risks and so on and so forth, right? So that being said, like GenAI, right? So I mean, what is that difference between what we have as a generative AI today versus what it was a few years back, or what it was even a decade back, right? So when I recall my intelligent automation journey, 10, 15 years back, we had this evolution of automation, right? So it started with, we call it as BRAC model, BRAC model, right? So the B as in basic automation, wherein we kind of saw certain jobs that are running, and we kind of created a simple QTP or some other tools to automate that particular job, right? Then it become little robotic, right? So wherein we pulled in various robotic process automation tools like UiPath or Workfusion or Intelligent Anywhere or Blue Prism, etc. We kind of labeled a certain data. We kind of identified certain use cases or business processes that can be automated to robotic process automation, right? Then comes the actual automation where it was much involved with AI and ML, right? So the machine learning and the artificial intelligence was started feeding in. For example, if I have a legal content of 500 pages, and I want to get a synopsis of that 500 pages into a paragraph, we had certain natural language processing techniques and few other labeling techniques within AAML and multiple regression models to use data as the feed and get the resultant, right? So that was the A version, right? And the last version of that BRAC model is something called cognitive automation, right? The stage that we are in today is the cognitive automation. When I say cognitive, it is nothing but AI system that can do certain tasks by itself, right? In this case, in generative AI's case, if a AI system, if it can generate a content like text, videos, music, images, and all based on the pre-existing data and templates, and that's what Gen AI, right? So, in a nutshell, it the automation is in evolution, and it is there for like 20 years now. And then we are at the cognitive state of automation, where we were able to generate certain inputs based on the plethora of data available out there in public sources with few private trained sources and models. And if we get that, and that's generative AI, right? So with that, like I just kind of showcase the difference, right? For example, today if you search describe a white boy playing flunky music, and this is what you get it in Google, right? So it gives you um, a very wide range of input, and it is very similar to what your Alexa or Siri, for that matter, respond. Right? These are narrow AI, right? So it just search and give you certain data. Now, another case could be a Netflix, where you watch a movie of, say, thriller. The next time you get into Netflix, you see your recommendation movies are all around thriller, right? So that there is some kind of AI running behind, which reads what the user interest levels are, and then accordingly recommend, right? So that's pretty much there in most of the system. Another example could be a little upgraded, right? Where you have a chat GPT, you go and ask, describe the same question, right? Describe a white boy playing a funky music, right? So chat GPT will help us returning a detailed answer here. It's called response to that prompt, and that's how the model got evolved, right? So the transformer models, they say, I'll try to keep not more technical in the session, considering the generic forum that we have, but the models have evolved. The generative version of the model started creating a text in this case by itself, right? And then if you use some tools, like for example, if you use DALI, if you ask the same question with a little more detailed prompt, it gives you this, right? So in this case, the resultant was an image, right? It's an image, and it exactly explains all the characteristics of that particular character which are requested in the input, right? So that's generative AI, right? So the evolution is also evident in these three pictures that we have shown, right? So moving ahead, all of you, I'm sure 99% here are from the software engineering side, right? So there is a kind of a buzz or the hype cycle that is going on around, and it says like, I mean, what is the um, generative AI for me? Like how it is going to help me in my SDLC cycle, or like is it something that I should consider as a threat, or like how will I handle Gen AI with respect to the legal and IPs, right? So those are some of the questions that all of us in this forum have, right? I'll try to address that in this session, right? So first thing, when we started our Gen AI journey a couple of years back in CAP, I mean, the first project that we executed was also for software engineering, right? So we did it for, till date, we have done it for 5 customers. And what we could show them, the result is at least 30% of efficiency gain that we could save for customers in software development cycle. When I say that, like, it's not going to replace the existing business analyst or developer or tester, or for that matter any other roles, right? It's going to augment, or it is going to accelerate the whole IT journey with Gen AI, right? So it's not going to replace, but it is going to add more value to the IT organizations that we are working on, right? So moving on, the most important skill set that we have today. I mean, a few years back, if someone asked what is the most interesting skill set, to me, I would have said Python, right? So 20 years back, if they have asked me the same question, I would have said microprocessor, because we started with assembler coding 20 years back, right? So now the hottest programming language out there is English, right? So prompt engineering is something that is key in Gen AI journey, right? So what is a prompt, right? A prompt is a accurate and a most appropriate feed that is given to Gen AI algorithm or Gen AI orchestrator as input that will get you the desired output, right? So most of the development cycle today uses prompts to get their actual outputs that are needed, right? So, and it is not just for coding, right? It could be used for testing, it could be used for design, and it can be used, even used by the business analyst, right? I'll double click it further, right? So just want to show you a live demo here. So prompt not necessarily need to be 1 or 2 pages, right? So you can have a prompt uh, that can be as big as 10,000 characters also, right? So I'm just giving an upper boundary condition here. We have, in fact, when we built a product for Capgemini to build this whole software engineering system, we had an error that some business users have keyed in a prompt more than 10,000 characters, right? So the prompt can be as big as possible, one. Second, the prompt can be written only if you have certain domain skills, right? For example, in the screen that you are seeing, it is this very simple example for writing few test cases for certain insurance product, right? So what you see towards your right is the input, right? So this will certainly not be written by any student who are just out there college, right? So it requires certain skill sets, it requires certain domain understanding, it requires certain experience as well, right? So in other words, Gen AI will always help us as a positive catalyst, right? It will not going to replace any of the domain skill sets or the technical skill sets or the testing skill set that we have out there, right? And the result is also, as you see, a detailed test cases that are built in seconds, right? So I just executed this in the chat GPT also earlier today, and as you see, like all I keyed in is as a product owner, I need this. This is my acceptance criteria, and all this content I had given, and immediately it can even build a table that I can copy and I can use it, or even I can extract this and start executing the results, right? So, but key thing, right? So the data out here is coming from open source in this case, right? So, and we are all working in one or the other corporate organization. So it's very important whatever data that we get out from certain models, right, has to be thoroughly vetted. What I mean to say that is the data that you are getting from any Gen AI system is just a draft, right? You should not consider that as your final input, right? It always has to be reviewed with the human in the loop process. You should always have a reviewer in place. I'll double click that a little later as well, right? So, and this is what, with this all hype cycle going around, 60 to 70 percentage of executive today think that Gen AI can be a very promising use case with respect to the software engineering side, right? And to some extent we have proven it, but we are not at there though, right? Practically. And then, as I told, the entire software life cycle, right? Not just the coding, but the entire software life cycle have a plethora of tools out there, right? All started with the GitHub Copilot and the Microsoft acquisition of GitHub, and the tools that you have for each of the phases today. And most of the no-code companies or low-code companies, even they are coming up with their IO versions, right, with GenAI, right? So these are all positive enablers for the whole product life cycle. What it means is, um, 5 years back, if you have built in a greenfield project from scratch using, say, Java Stack or Microsoft Stack with certain database, etc., for 12 months, today the same can be achieved with Gen AI at least 7 to 8 months, right? So that's the acceleration we are talking about here, right? So, and then for even for your model selections, right? So if you're building certain recommendation plans, or if you're writing certain code to pull in certain LLMs, you have tons and tons of LLMs out there, all from all the hyperscalers that are listed here. Plus, there are very selective LLM models, large language models that can give you defined results. For example, if you're a banking person, you have certain validations needed on KYC. I'm giving an example on the fly, right? You have pre-written models that are pre-trained for that particular geo that you are working on for KYC itself, right? So there are pre-trained model, there are generic model, and it's up to our architect to pick and choose the right LLM to want, right? So in a nutshell, the entire IT ecosystem has been accelerated with multiple Gen AI assets that we have, and I've just listed here few, right? So I mean, but there are a diamond dozen out there in the market to help us. But the more important one, if we are using this in the corporate network, it is very important that we take all the proper approvals, right? So that's the key message this call. And moving on, just want to run a quick demo on the GitHub. I think I need to share my screen with audio. Let me do that right away. Yeah. Sorry about that. So that's a quick view on what GitHub Copilot have done it today, right? So as you all see, I mean, it has actually changed the whole software lifecycle uh, itself, right? So moving further, I was talking about human in the loop process, right? So how the futuristic augmented software team will look like, right? So you will have the development team today that we have as it is. You will have human to human collaborations. More than that, you will have AI human collaborations, right? And we have already, most of us are already using certain tools from GenAI to do our day-to-day work. But again, it's very important that we have a lead or a reviewer from all standpoint, from governance, from um, all the challenges standpoint to ensure that the content that are used is just a draft and not directly used as it is, especially in the client network, right? So, and then again, we have a plethora of tools out there that are already there in the GenAI ecosystem for software engineering, right? So with this, I just kind of touched upon what we are doing in the software engineering side, right? So that's the easiest use case because we don't have any legal complications most of the time. We don't have any business functions directly targeted with IT side, right? But beyond that, we also see some of the use cases being taken from business side as well, right? For that matter, this year we even a hackathon in our organization. For that, we have built an end-to-end product in 6 weeks for one of the complex insurance lines, right? So it's all built greenfield with all leveraging GenAI tools, adhering to most of the regulations, right? So we are now started using Gen AI slowly towards the business side. It could be a marketing. Last year, we did a Gen AI product that can work as a digital in-store human for most of the prospecting conversion to customer, right? So you go to Toyota showroom today, you will be greeted with hundreds of in-store salespersons, right? So tomorrow, if you want to do that through online for any products, you can have someone called soul missions who are digital in-store humans who can help you in the marketing, right? So those are, and then also on the legal and risk where it's heavy documentation, getting the summary or synopsis of those contents are very useful for many corporate function teams within organization, right? So those are the few other use cases that we are actually double clicking. And on the HR side also, we had built something called a product called HR Genie recently, which will help sorting out a list of um, resumes that had reached into certain inbox HR and then seamlessly sort it down, understand the job description versus your JD versus the resume, and then sort them by preference, right? And then sort them by uh, absolute matching, right? So we did that also recently. So slowly we are moving ahead beyond the technology or beyond software engineering as well into much of these corporate functions and the peripherals of business functions, I would say, right? Yeah, we are not there to the core business functions, but we're slowly inching towards that, right? And then now that we spoke about generative AI, what is it? And then we also spoke about how generative AI is helping in software engineering, how it is moving beyond software engineering to some other corporate functions and peripheral business functions. I would also like to cover a few items with respect to the risks that we need to be aware of when we use generative AI, right? So all of us know that there is a heavy lot of hype cycle out there in the market about Chennai, but it's also important that we understand the risks that are aligned or indirectly comes with generative AI. So, as social responsible engineers, it's very important that we adhere to certain items, right? Let's do one thing. I'll try to use another Gen AI tool called App Video Chat. I'm sure many of you might have already used, but let me try to give it, explain this in a very uh, live way, right? Say, uh, okay, just bear me with a minute. Okay, so let's build a quick video uh, for say, let's say we need to generate a new video for let's say how to train a football, right? So we are just saying like we are creating a video. We want to say uh, just giving on the fly. Yeah, 12 years. Say football. The moment I request the script and generating it, then I can select view voice. And this is an open source software. I'm just giving you an example. And then I say like, this is what I want. And I say, generate this video. Yeah. So the video is ready in few seconds, right?
Welcome, young athletes. Today, we're diving into the fundamentals of football. Remember, it's not just about scoring goals. It's about teamwork, discipline, and having fun. Focus on your passing, dribbling, and communication with teammates. Practice makes perfect, so give your best effort every time. Let's build skills and friendships together.
So just a quick example, right? How soon we can build things with Gen AI. But the most important thing that we need to understand also the sublimed risks and the challenges that are associated with this. In this video, we had seen for 20 seconds, we had seen like many kids' photos or pictures are used. There were many football stadiums used. But if those are not copyrighted or those are not copyrighted images, then it leads to a lot of challenges, right? So, for example, it could be it could be leading us to litigations as well. Other challenges could be uh, all these fake news, phishing emails, right? So we all know about the deepfake videos that are getting generated in Gen AI. So we have all these challenges as well through Gen AI, and it's very important that we all have to be very careful in not picking any malicious content when we are pulling it, right? So we all know what happened in the love bug of 2000. I mean, I think I was also in college those days. A 19-year-old Philippine student crashed close to 8 million laptops or desktops those days, right? So a simple virus in a very through I think that was through an email. So what I'm trying to say is a simple prompt or a simple email can have very subsequent or a very adverse cybersecurity incidents as well. So it's very important when we get those contents out there, we will need to thoroughly use that for our day-to-day purposes, right? Also, some other challenges I would like to touch upon is like the data poisoning, right? So we all know like most of the elections even today are driven by Twitter, right? And if we can even with the data poisoning and all other not not suggested techniques, even it can create various other risks and reasons. Some of them are just shown it. I purposely don't want to read
Okay,
it,
thank
but
you. Bye.
yeah, so it can lead into multiple avoc situations also, right? So again, it is very important that we uh, need to ensure that we are having proper regulated systems and those systems which are approved by our organizations, so that we are not getting into any of these situations as well, right? And other risks are the intellectual property, right? The football example that I had shown, if we have, say, mistakenly used Ronaldo's picture, we know the probable uh, defense cost that our organization should undergo, right? So confidentiality, right? Again, we in the football video that I just kind of created, I had used many kids' videos, probably without taking the consent of their parents, right? So that could be even another legal uh, challenge if I use that in my public source system, right? So, and then the personal data, right? All of these would eventually cause multiple challenges to corporate organizations, right? So, my friends, all I want to say is like there are multiple tools out there in the market, but it is important that we adhere to our policies, our governance structures that are defined in our certain organizations, and use it with all proper cross checks with seniors, right? So, and again, other challenge could be the property infringement, right? So, IPs can be reused and the copyrighted materials can be reused by others. Recently, I read a research article where one startup company have used the code from uh, I think Stanford or Harvard PhD students, which led into another IP battle, right? So all those things are also a resultant of leveraging GenAI. So it is again very important that we use the technology in the right way, right? And we have some more examples that I kind of put in here, right? So, and then to summarize, right? So use GenAI only as an assistant and to provide you the draft material, right? And don't mix up your public material that are coming in with your client network, and do not use materials that are copyrighted, right? And if possible, record all the prompts that you make, take a notes, and get the approval from your respective leads, respective team, so that it is all documented, right? And then if you need to use certain outputs from the prompt, ensure that you do substantial edit and you are not using asses and you're showing a human involvement in your outputs, right? And then be transparent if you are using any such tools with your customers. And if there is a need for you to, some of the clients are strictly no to use any of the Gen AI tools, right? So in that case, be cognizant not to leverage them in any of your client networks, right? And also, if needed, take care of all the approvals and contracts in place before leveraging them in your day-to-day activities, right? So with that, like I just want to touch upon one last item, right? The data governance, right? So the guardrails are very important in Gen AI, right? So when I say guardrails, those are certain checks, those are certain checkpoints that your team, your module, or your organization or your project will leverage to ensure that we are not using certain violated content, right? For example, I just want to touch, I mean, no partiality with Amazon Bedrock, which is a tool that provides guardrails for all GenAI prompts. But there are many, even Azure has the equivalent of Amazon Bedrock and Google has it. But for the reference purposes, I just thought I'll pick this and run through a quick walkthrough of how prompts can be handled effectively, right? How prompts can be, for example, if you have an email, if it is a sensitive content, how to mask that in the prompting, right? So all those things are kind of taken care in the Amazon Bedrock, and if with those kind of special plugins, we can solve, and again with the certain approvals from your project leads, your IT team, you can certainly use that, right? So I'll just kind of run this quick video of how prompting can be streamlined with Amazon Bedrock guardrails, right? Just as an example, right? Let's listen to this and then we will talk more.
Agent. So guardrails can be applied directly to foundational models using inference API invocations by specifying the guardrail ID and version if the guardrail is used. Okay, so that's all for the guardrail information. I will now walk you through to a hands-on lab where we are going to configure a guardrail and I'll show you how you can do that. Follow me along with this video. So here I am logged into the AWS Management Console. I quickly navigate to Bedrock Service. Over there on the left hand side, you have these guardrails under the safeguard section. Click on that, click on create guardrail. Okay, I'll name it as guard my chatbot. This is a default message. Message is for block prompts. We are going to use the same messaging. Okay, click on next. Harmful categories. Let's reset it high. So this is to enable and detect blocked harmful user inputs and model responses. We are not gonna modify this as of now for this demo. We are gonna keep it as the default. Click over here. Let's keep it as high. Click on next. We are gonna add some denied topic over here. Okay. I'll just name it as an investment advice. Okay, and I'll just enter some default value over here. Okay, which you can simply see in the example as well, right? Let's keep it simple. You can also add sample phrases, but I won't be doing that now. The number of character limit, which is 200. I've just removed the full stop and it is fine now. Click on next. Okay, this is for adding word filters. I'll select this. This is a feature to block profane words in user inputs and model responses. The list of words is based on the global definition. Okay, so we'll select this. We'll add the words and phrases manually over here. Okay, so I'll quickly scroll down, add a word or phrase. I'll add Bitcoin. I'll add one more word, cryptocurrency. Okay. Oops. Yeah, so that's added. Click on next. It's gonna ask you the PII types. So this is for sensitive information filter. Again, this is optional. So personally identifiable information. So we'll click on add new PII. We'll add email. We'll add this for validating if the model responses are grounded and factually correct based on the information provided in the reference source. And it's gonna block responses that are below the defined threshold of grounding. Relevance is to validate if the model responses are relevant to the user query. Okay, so we'll be clicking on next and time to create. This is a review page where you can review all the parameters that you have entered. Click on create guardrail and let's wait for a second. So it is now, as you can see, the status is ready. Time to test it. Click on select model. You can see different category of model providers. I'll select Haiku, click on apply, and we'll enter a prompt over here. Okay. So we'll enter prompt like, please summarize below call center transcript, put name, email, and customer ID to the top. Okay. So here, as you can see, we are specifically entering the email address. Okay, I can also try entering the credit card number, but let's try it right now without entering the CC number. Run it. So this is the final response of the model. As you can see, it has masked the email. Even in the summary, it is masked. This is the masked email.
So that's a quick run through of what some of the guardrail tools out there in the system helps us in protecting some of the sensitive information and protecting some of the PII data, right? So the the summary that I want to give is like every technology has pros and cons. GenAI is no difference. And it is important that we always use our corporate policies, corporate regulations, and the best practices that are provided to ensure we all leverage the tool in a very productive manner and ensure it is addressed and leveraged with all compliances, keeping all compliances in place, right? So with that, like I kind of want to thank the entire team for giving this last minute opportunity to walk through what we do at GenAI and a few insights around software engineering and some risk protocols with few demos, right? Again, thank you so much, team. Looking forward to the next discussions.
Sandeep, over to you. Sandeep, are you there? Meghna?
Yes, I'm there. Oh, looks like we've finished.
If you have any questions, I think Chandra can take up. There's one question from Karthik.
Hello. Yeah. Do you hear me?
Sure. Yes, please.
Okay. Thanks for the session, especially the demo. I have a question on guardrails. Um, can the guardrails only be applicable only for the chatbots, or let's say if I have developed an API interface in between, where from a system to LLM usage integration, I take details from a system, pass it through an API to a model at the back, get a response back. Right. So in that case, I want to put guardrails so that no sensitive information is carried across. Can guardrail be useful in that scenario also?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Again, this is a growing topic, right? So I'll give you one example, right? So in one of our client implementation, we have picked Azure LLM, Azure Llama model as our reference model, and we were giving in certain and this is a very classic enterprise integration, right? Where you had a front end UI, you had a prompt going in from a front end UI, and then it was back end integrated to an LLM, and then We had in fact shortlisted 13 LLM, and of which we were picking two best LLM to answer certain type of questions. For example, if it is questions related to sports, pick this LLM as output, right? So that's how we have kind of internally configured. And what we have seen in those cases is there is something called rogue, right? So if you can read through, I mean, that's another way of giving a very impartial statement. And then for those kind of prompts, Azure models were cognitive enough by default to put certain guardrails, and it clearly said the question or the inputs that's coming in are highly malicious, or it is violated to answer. Right? The answer I want to tell you is not just ChatGPT, based on your system architecture, based on your enterprise architect's decision. Right? You can apply guardrails across the layers, be it all the way from presentation layer till data layer. Right? Yeah. Thank you.
Chandra, so what is a term that you said in between? I missed it. Can you spell that for me? Like
See, yeah, not just for the chatbot, right? The guardrails can be applied for any of the systems. It could be your UI screens or presentation layer. It could be your business applications, or it could be an enterprise integration that I just gave in as an example, or it could be your data layer, right? So it depends on which system you are working in, which client environment you are working in. And then the other thing is more important, I mean, how cost effective that particular additional plugins that you're opting for, right? In some of the cases, I also see the advanced hyperscalers come with their own add-ons, right, to protect even the enterprise integrations data are not getting maliciously affected.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Chandra. I have one query.
Yeah, Manish, please go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's a Reshma.
Yeah. You're making this for, but you can
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, Manish can go next. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to do certification in this AAI. Okay, so which one is a good and what will be the guidelines for those? How to achieve that certification?
So
Which
yeah,
is the
if
best
you could.
one to for the career, good career?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, this is a very broad question. Um, uh, you are from which technology background or business background or QA background, Reshma?
Automation tester?
Automation
Automation
tester.
tester.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So for Capgemini, for certain team members within uh, my portfolio, I had created my own curriculum, right? So which I can also share, right? It is not out there in the market, but it will help us as a software engineers to understand GenAI better, right? Which I can share it through Kirti, right? That is one. Second, if you are automation tester, I would strongly recommend prompt engineering certificate. There are certain certifications available in around prompt engineering. You can opt that. The other thing is Capgemini GenAI campus. I'm not sure if you have seen that. Capgemini, if you're within Capgemini, you have Capgemini GenAI campus, which are plenty of certifications for based on the roles and responsibility. In your case, for QA engineers, there are lots of tools that we have, right? So, but these are the good starting points. But if you want to take a deep dive, there are 6 months courses, there are 12 months courses as well by multiple institutes out there, right? So you can opt that also. I had picked AI and blockchain as my journey. So I enrolled myself in a PhD in 2019, and it's like 6 years I'm still studying, right? So, I mean, if based on your interest level, again, based on your uh, the need, right? If you just want to be at the beginner level, I would start suggesting you to pick your organization's Chennai campus. If you want to go step two, pick certifications out there with Udemy or other training providers. If you want to go to the next level, I would suggest you to pick any institute that offers 12 months course, etc. Right? Yeah. Did I answer your question, Rishma?
Yes, for the Capgemini certification, I have already done, but I want the proper certification, which will
Okay.
be
Yeah. I can
outside.
probably
Uh,
ping me after this call. I can guide you further. Yeah. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, Manish, please go ahead. Sorry to make
Yeah,
you wait.
thank you. No problem. Sure. So thank you for this presentation. Basically, I learned a lot. So now the question related to guardrail. So for example, if in a project, okay, there is a GitHub Copilot license has been provided, or any such kind of license where we are directly using its tool, right? The developers are using its tool to put some data. And if we have a license, if we have an enterprise
We are
license of
secured.
GitHub,
We are
yeah.
secured then. No worries. Because that gets into your client system only after certain SOC regulations, right? So you're
So
secured with all compliances in that case.
So
Only
do we
thing is,
don't need any
right.
guardrails? We
No,
don't need to
it
put.
see the Copilot in this case, the example that you have said, the Microsoft Copilot,
Mhm.
that it itself would have I mean, from the CISO standpoint, they would have already plugged in multiple checkpoints, right? From rogue, from plagiarism. There are so many other challenging concepts as well, right? From cybersecurity, all those things would have been already taken care. So if you are using a licensed software out there in the client network, which is approved by both organization and client, then I don't see any challenges with it. I am all referring here for those open source softwares that are having free accesses for us, right? So that's where we have to be more careful. But it's a good
But
question.
those are not allowed. Those are not allowed within organization, right? If we are using
Correct.
any open source library, then we should inform client as well, at least, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the message in this call. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, I see Purna next in line.
Yeah, hi Chandra. So as you mentioned, like any of the content generated from the AI is having a copyright, these are all the things. So how can we validate if we generated something, either it is an image or a content or any of the video, how can we validate is this particular content generated having a copyright or not? Is there any validation, some kind of a forum, or else is it a only way manual validation only?
Yeah, as far as I know, I didn't see any tools for that validation. But one thing I can say is that's where, as I stressed earlier, it is the human in the loop process, right? A maker checker process in your, say, for example, you have created a test case, assuming that you are from testing portfolio, right? So the need for your manager or your lead to review that particular test case and using the GenAI resultant that is coming out of the prompt as draft, right, is very important.
Okay, the continuation
Yeah,
to that, for example, if I wanted to be integrate that into the one of the .NET code or anywhere, so that
correct.
at the moment, if I wanted to the output of the content to be validated, I have an option to reach out to the seniors and all. But if we integrate that output of a program, how
I
it
don't,
can be
yeah,
validated?
I don't recommend that, first of all, right? See, you can pull the content, you can pull the code, right? You say in your example, you want to write a program for Fibonacci series, right? So you got
Mhm.
the code for Fibonacci series, right? So
Yes.
my suggestion would be don't use it as it is. Have a
Mm.
thorough check. I mean, I'm just giving Fibonacci series because it's a simpler one, right? But in real
Right.
time, you would be doing something different, right? So get that code thoroughly vetted and don't use that code as it is, right? I just spoke about malicious
So many
bug
things.
that could have
Yes.
even embedded in that code, which you will not even know, right? And it could have adverse impact, right? So my suggestion in this case could be use that as a tutor, use that as a reference,
Draft.
but play
Yeah.
around, draft, and then use with full cross checks and have your lead or reviewer in loop so that we are
Okay.
not trapped. Yeah, that would be my sincere suggestion here. Yeah.
Thank you, Chandra.
Yes.
Thanks for a
No
great
problem.
session. Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Yeah. Ajay, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chandra, for the session. My question will go along with Manish Jain question. Like for the financial services clients, we do have certain limitations on the services to use from the cloud-based offerings. So, if what use cases we can show to the client? So, in order to basically to do a trial and error based, at least on the certain use cases, how can we proceed in that approach? And I could see there are certain offerings which will be very much beneficial for the client with that I'm working for. And what should the approach I need to take?
Yeah. So you're from Capgemini, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Financial service. financial services. So there are innovation leads in each accounts, right? So the innovation leads in each account are kind of educated by our GenerativeAI university team and also through our innovation champions, right? So they will be the right person to suggest the account which all use cases to take after, right? For example, most of the account today are taking software engineering as a starting point, right? And few of them have started experimenting GitHub Copilot or the other equivalent tools, right? So I would route it again through a proper channel where your account innovation team gets in and they suggest based on the inputs that's coming from practice as well, right? Yeah, and I would again suggest not to suggest based on the personal ground or personal experience to customer. Rather, I would route it through proper channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was Ajay, right? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
We have
you.
one more question. Yeah, probably the last question. Venu, please go ahead, Venu.
Yeah, thanks, Chandra, for the wonderful session. So my question is a little different. Uh, we have been talking to the customers where customers are now asking us about AI agents. So how different does the behavior or any special thing that these agents perform compared to what the other Gen AI in general does? So how do you differentiate and when do you bring these AI agents into picture?
So when you say AI agents, you're talking about a more cognitive chatbot, right? Not an hygienic chatbot. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So can you give me a use case where this agent is kind of experimented or being planned to implement?
What happens is that I'm from integration. So basically, they want to automate the integration business process, right? So you bring in that AI functions because most of our tools are like iPaaS tools, integration platform as a service, right? So
Got it.
already they are low code on no code, right? So they want to bring this automation into to integrate their business process, bring the AI functions, infuse these AI functions into their business process so that it can become much smoother, scalable, and productivity, blah, blah, blah. So they were talking about the agents, right? So, and these agents do work only in certain domains, right? So they have this knowledge about a particular domain or a particular set of scenarios is what I heard. So, anything that you can throw light on this?
Yes, definitely.
Agents?
I'll tell you, right? I mean, see, in fact, I talked about something called soul missions, right? In our discussion. Look for soul missions. That is something that even we experimented. Those are pre-trained model by domain, right? So, but again, it up to customer to get the license and customer to vet and put the guardrails out there in place. But soul missions is something that I can immediately think of. And then there are other topic called probably we can double click also, Venu, right? So there is something called pre-trained models, right? Not necessarily everything that is coming out of Gen AI is from open lexicon, right? You have some pre-trained model specifically for certain use cases also. In your case, it is PaaS layer where you have integration, multiple integration, and you want agents to accelerate that activity, right? So there are certain pre-trained models also which we can look for, right? If you want, we can double click on this sometime tomorrow and I can guide you. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you so
That
much.
would be. Chandra, what is that? Soul, SOUL. What is that?
Soul missions. I'll type here, right? Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank you so
Chandra.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.